Amidst the cold mist, a man committed to building. Every rough oak log, chinked with forest moss, was a solemn promise. Careful cuts defined the sturdy shelter. He wasn't running. He was creating, despite the heavy snowfall. When the snow melted, the relentless search for organic material began anew, a brutal survival cycle. Spring brought the foundation work, where durability means survival. He rolled solid log posts onto large rocks to isolate them from moisture, the silent enemy. The floor joists were raised using interlocking beams. Each precise assembly step was checked for levelness. This survival structure is not just a home, but sheer will. Precision is paramount. A spirit level checks every beam for structural integrity. Having completed the subfloor frame, he returns to traditional insulation. Deep in the green undergrowth, he carefully harvested large amounts of sphagnum moss. This organic, natural material is insulation. It will be the shield against the coming cold. He carried the heavy moss back and started laying the first layer of the log wall. Round logs were measured, cut, and placed precisely onto the base. This interlocking technique ensures a tight, wind-resistant fit. Log upon log, the wall gained height. Each course is a small victory, pushing back the deep, cold forest. The first layer of logs was placed, followed by marking and precise cutting. He used the saw to create exact dovetail notches where the logs would tightly interlock. This joinery enhances load-bearing strength and minimizes gaps. The wood was then drilled for stabilizing pins. This patience is key to challenging nature.
Вообще огонь.
The detailed work continued, drilling deep holes for the wooden pins, trunnels. After the pins were driven, securing the frame, he laid the natural moss onto the finished logs. The moss was tightly packed into the gaps, creating an absolute airtight seal. This meticulous layer of organic matter is the invisible wall against the deep frost. He continued with the third log course, ensuring the moss gasket was packed tight between layers. Log stacks rose steadily, defining the cabin's sturdy height. He drilled and pinned the structure again to prevent twisting. To protect against rot, he then sanded the bark off the wood. The sun beat down, illuminating the steady construction. After debarking, he coated the lumber with a bright yellow preservative. This chemical layer defends against insects and mold, vital in the damp forest. The painstaking work stretched into the night. His headlamp cast a lonely beam. By morning, he checked all joints, ensuring the log and dimensional lumber perfectly meshed.
Satellites, social debs, and high satellites, massive.
To reinforce the overhanging deck, he secured heavy-duty metal brackets at the corners. Dimensional lumber beams were screwed firmly to the logs, framing the perimeter. He covered the floor and moss with tarps for protection from rain. A solid foundation is the first security measure against the wilderness. Log courses were continually stacked. The final perimeter log was lifted and accurately set into its notches, sealing the walls. More moss was jammed into the gaps, ensuring absolute airtightness. He stood back, observing the structure. It is more than survival. It is forging an isolated fortress against the elements. The cabin walls stand tall. He started planking the floor. Rough sawn boards were laid across the joists for a durable surface. He cut and installed vertical posts, framing both the windows and the entrance. Each board was secured with washered screws. The elevated height promises a dry shelter, safe from ground moisture. The frame is high. Temporary eave supports were added, extending the shelter. He drilled down to secure the finished floor layers. More debarked logs were prepared, and fresh moss packed onto the final log course. The heavy timber was lifted, pressed down onto the natural fiber. Every wood grain adds a layer of protection. Log upon log, the moss-chinked structure grew. The four walls stood sturdy and tall. He tarped the floor before starting the roof structure. Rough lumber was temporarily placed on the rafter beams, setting the pitch for drainage. Each wide plank is a step toward a solid roof, preparing for the coming seasonal rains. He secured the final log course with wooden pins, hammering them tight into the drilled holes. More moss was rammed into the cracks. The work continued past dusk, lit by faint light. Next morning, he cut the remaining floor planks, opening a square hatch for the cellar door. This is the access point to crucial cold storage. With the floor and cellar hatch ready, he built the temporary roof frame. A blue tarp was stretched over the structure for immediate rain protection while he erected the permanent trusses. Working from inside, he screwed diagonal beams into place, defining the solid roof pitch. This triangle structure must hold heavy snow loads. The cabin now has its full shape. He rolled a long log beam up onto the walls for the roof ridge. He drilled and pinned it securely to the log walls. He also reinforced the subfloor area with bracing for the storage space below. Maximizing every square foot is a survival principle. The structure was reinforced with metal angle plates, tightly bolted into the posts to ensure lateral stability. He carefully laid a thin layer of moss onto the log top before placing the next course. This natural buffer acts as a perfect gasket. Each new heavy log laid down adds security to the hope of survival. The next log course was placed, followed by vertical posts, framing the gable ends. These columns must be carefully pinned to support the roof structure. He used the saw to chisel precise notches into the log ends, securing the diagonal braces. Every detailed joint must be perfect to hold the massive weight of snow. He installed the diagonal bracing posts into the gable frame, securing them with screws. The roof trusses were meticulously cut and pre-drilled. The final truss was lifted, clearly defining the A-frame roof. To reinforce the crucial joints, he used steel angle plates, bolting them firmly to the log. This stout roof is the ultimate safeguard. He reinforced the roof trusses with perforated metal plates, using the drill to secure large lag screws. The roof connection must be absolutely strong, resisting wind shear. He used a chisel and handsaw to fine-tune the log ends, ensuring a flush surface for the trusses. This final precision ensures structural integrity against harsh weather. With the roof frame built, the load-bearing metal plates were tightly fastened. He then installed the curved decorative log purlins, giving the roof its characteristic curved eave design. Next, he laid the first layer of white moisture barrier membrane over the trusses. This is the essential safeguard against water intrusion and rot. After laying the moisture barrier, he secured it with thin wooden strapping screwed into the rafter beams. This strapping creates a perfect air gap for ventilation. He meticulously measured, cut, and nailed each strip of wood, building a solid roof deck. The log cabin is taking shape, ready to endure any environmental challenge. He continued preparing materials, cutting the angled roof boards. He applied a second layer of moisture barrier, securing it with a complex wooden batten system. The battens create airflow, a critical function. Internal moisture condensation can degrade the wood structure. The house is now ready for the final protective roof covering. He started cladding the roof with heavy-duty plywood sheets, precisely cut to match the steep roof angle. These sheets create a continuous, gap-free surface. Each sheet was lifted, fitted, and secured. The angle is necessary to prevent snow buildup. The log house now has a complete deck, providing solid overhead shelter. The final plywood sheet was secured, marking the completion of the roof deck. He used an angle grinder to cut a thick metal plate, carving a perfectly round hole. This metal flange is for the chimney flue, vital for the heating system. Its exact fit prevents leaks and fire hazards. The roof is sealed. Now, warmth is the focus. He drilled a corresponding hole through the roof deck for the chimney. Next, he laid the black bituminous roof shingles. This material offers absolute waterproofing and durability against harsh climates. He worked methodically, shingling from the bottom up, ensuring a proper overlap. The cabin is emerging as a solid woodland home. The shingling continued. Inside, he drilled vents into the ceiling, then fitted metal flashing and an insulated collar around the hole. A stainless steel chimney flue was threaded through, ensuring safe exhaust. This precise installation minimizes heat loss and fire risk. Finally, he sealed the flashing joints on the roof with specialized compound. He finished shingling the roof. On top, the steel chimney was secured into its metal and rubber boot for weatherproofing. He carefully applied sealant to all joints, ensuring zero water intrusion. This robust waterproofing layer is the essential element that makes the log cabin a truly warm, dry shelter. He installed the upper chimney section, attaching the cap and tightening the clamp to complete the venting system. Then, he secured metal trim along the roof edges to direct rainwater away from the logs, preventing rot. He used a blowtorch to melt and fuse the shingle seams. The waterproof layer became a single, durable surface. The final shingles were installed over the ridge, covering the vulnerable peak. He used the blowtorch to activate the adhesive, sealing the highest seam perfectly. Finally, a decorative weather vane was secured atop the roof. The construction journey ends with this symbol of human endurance against the forces of nature. After setting the weather vane, he installed the rain gutter system. Each hanger was fixed to the fascia, ensuring rainwater drains away from the log walls, which is crucial for structural longevity. Inside, he started framing the small window in the gable end. A window is the necessary bridge between light and solitude. Inside, he installed the window frame in the gable end, lining it with waterproof material. He fitted a wooden sill, creating a proper window ledge. He installed a hinged lid for the underground hatch, sealing off the essential cold storage below. The feeling of warmth and security slowly replaced the harshness of the construction. Under the low light, the wooden floor was completed, creating a smooth, airtight surface. He secured the cellar hatch, ensuring it was insulated and flush with the floor. This cold storage area preserves precious food supplies. Outside, he climbed the ladder, fixing the final wooden trim to the gable end, adding the last aesthetic touch. Inside, he installed reflective insulation onto the gable end frame to maximize heat retention in the attic space. He then filled all large gaps between the logs and vertical posts with expanding polyurethane foam, creating an absolute airtight seal. The foam expands, eliminating any avenues for heat loss. He sawed the hatch trim, ensuring a perfect closure.
Oh.
With the hatch fully secured, he continued insulating the attic floor space. He laid the reflective vapor barrier membrane over the floor planks to prevent heat from escaping through the roof. He used spray foam to fill all voids between the log walls and the structural frame, guaranteeing maximum thermal performance. Next came the fireproofing of the chimney area. He built a wooden frame enclosure and installed fire-rated mineral wool insulation, meticulously cutting the pieces to fit around the flue. This is standard fire prevention. The steel flue was secured with bracing. The essential heating system is now safely integrated. He carefully trimmed the mineral wool insulation, packing it into the chimney enclosure's metal casing. The insulation must be dense to prevent heat transfer to the wood. He connected the stainless steel flue sections, ensuring a secure, tight fit. The chimney is now stable, and the base plate is ready to receive the heat from the future stove. He connected another section of the steel flue, checking its vertical alignment with a level. Below the attic floor, he laid out an electric resistance heating wire system. The wires were secured, then covered with plywood sheets. This thermal layer is vital for keeping the entire cabin dry and warm against ground dampness. He covered the heating wires with plywood, then laid a heavy-duty vapor barrier membrane over the subfloor. The membrane seams were taped to prevent moisture from degrading the insulation. He packed thick rock wool insulation around the chimney, creating layers of fire protection. Each insulation step is critical against the winter cold. He continued adding insulation layers around the chimney. Outside, heavy snow now covered the forest. He cut rough planks for the exterior deck and assembled them precisely. The warm glow inside contrasted sharply with the white cold outside. His work concluded by securing the final deck plank, completing a safe entrance. Deep in winter, with snow everywhere, he resumed chinking the exterior logs. He used the chainsaw to cut deeper grooves into the log seams for better insulation. This traditional process improves the thermal envelope. Outside, wild animals still lurked, a sharp reminder of nature's indifference. Survival in winter is a ceaseless battle. He used the chainsaw to create clean, precise cuts around the log seams, then packed them tightly with natural moss chinking. This process creates a perfect air seal. Next, he cut a large rectangular hole through the wall. This is the main entrance. The subsequent doorframe installation is the final step to a fully sealed shelter. He brought in squared timber pieces, setting them into the door opening, and secured them tightly to the rounded log wall. He drilled holes to pin the vertical posts to the logs. Insulation wicking was packed around the posts, ensuring an absolute airtight perimeter. Every piece fitted is a critical step towards a durable, wind-proof entry. He fixed the door frame into the rough opening, carefully fitting the wooden posts. He used wooden pins to secure the frame to the log wall. Thick cork insulation plugs were hammered into the gaps between the frame and the logs. His intense focus is aimed at eliminating air leaks, which would compromise the warmth inside. The entrance frame was fully installed, the most vulnerable part of the structure. He used large wooden clamps to secure the frame, ensuring vertical alignment. He carefully used shims and small wooden wedges to adjust the frame. Below, a small wooden pin was driven in as a final support. This entryway must be a solid, secure seal against the winter. He inserted hemp insulation wicks into the final gaps, ensuring that no cold air penetrates. The palpable contrast between the warm interior and the cold outside intensifies his focus. He secured the door frame firmly to the logs with long lag screws. The frame is finished. Now, the door must be hung to shield him from the lurking blizzard. He packed the thick hemp insulation above the doorframe and secured it with wooden strips. This is essential insulation for the thinnest part of the log wall. Outside, the snow fell heavier, covering the ground. He focused on securing the final ceiling strips, preparing the opening for the heavy, insulated door. He lifted and set the heavy, insulated wooden door into the frame, ensuring a perfect flush fit. He then attached long metal strap hinges to the door, securing them with large lag screws. These hinges must bear the weight of the heavy door and resist wind pressure. The sound of the drill echoes. A physical barrier now stands between him and the outside cold. He finished attaching the hinges to the door frame, securing the bottom hinge with heavy screws. The door was hung, closing flush and smoothly. He installed weather stripping and a doorstop, ensuring an absolute airtight seal. He knows that even a small gap can draw all the precious heat out during a long winter night. Snow falls outside the completed window, but the cabin interior is sealed and warm. He turned to the attic floor insulation, laying foam panels and rock wool. This sleeping area requires maximum insulation. He carefully laid a thick plastic vapor barrier between the floor joists, securing it with staples. Every step requires patience for survival. He crawled under the cabin, undertaking the coldest, hardest work, insulating the underside. He installed rigid foam panels and a vapor barrier between the joists, the last defense against ground cold. This final insulation layer is critical against the rising moisture and freezing temperatures. Back inside, he continued chinking the attic floor. The heavy vapor barrier was carefully taped and stretched over the attic floor, preventing moisture from entering the living space. He sealed all seams with specialized tape. The wooden floor is now ready to receive the final layer of flooring. The interior felt solid, calculated to withstand the forest's deep, cold breath. The vapor barrier was installed. He secured wooden sleepers onto the membrane, then fastened the final plywood underlayment panels. The heat from the insulated floor now radiated through the cabin. He then installed a metal flange plate around the chimney pipe opening in the ceiling, a necessary fire stop. The attic floor is complete. He secured the metal flashing around the chimney opening to the ceiling, ensuring fire safety. Then, he secured a wooden bracing frame around the chimney flue. To access the attic, he installed a simple wooden folding ladder, bolted firmly to the wall. This is the simple access to his warm sanctuary. He attached horizontal wooden rungs to the ladder, improving grip and safety. He then erected fire-resistant wall panels, placing them in the corner where the stove will sit. This fire shield protects the log walls from radiant heat. All efforts focused on fire safety before the first vital spark is struck. Snow blankets the roof. He brought out the ladder, climbed up, and began the routine winter task: clearing snow. Heavy snow must be removed to prevent structural collapse. He carefully shoveled the snow away from the chimney and the roof ridge. Maintaining a clear roof is an absolute priority for survival. Inside, he secured the iron stove onto the fire-resistant hearth pad. This stove is the heart of survival, the sole heat source. He installed a small wooden shelf onto the chimney flue for heat radiation, maximizing efficiency. He sealed the stove's connection to the flue with specialized sealant, anticipating the first heat. He sealed the gaps with high-temperature sealant to prevent smoke intrusion. The stove flue was connected and secured with metal clamps. Outside, the snow was deep, only the chimney top visible. He removed the plastic wrapping, attached the cap, and locked it tight. The final heat source is installed, completing the fortress. The first fire glowed in the stove, casting a warm light inside. Outside, he quickly built a firewood rack on the deck. He stacked the split logs, creating a dry, accessible woodpile. Dry firewood is life in winter. Every chop and stack is a final preparation for the punishing season ahead. With the firewood neatly stacked, he returned beneath the deck. He secured metal wire mesh to the joists, rodent-proofing the storage space below. This passive defense is crucial for protecting supplies. Finally, he used a small torch to light a quick fire, testing the dry kindling. He is prepared. In the snow, the tiny fire is a testament to human will. He carefully placed sausages on the mini grill, the sizzling sound marking the end of the long labor. A solid foundation, airtight walls, and a burning fire. The challenge is no longer building, but enduring. You have witnessed the process. Are you ready to begin your own journey?